Welcome to Sports Talk with L-Beasley. It is Tuesday afternoon here for me in Detroit, Michigan. And yeah, my Detroit Lions got the butt handed to them yesterday in the Monday Night Football game between those Chicago Bears, 13-7. Trust me, it's not as close as it sounds. At the end of the day, I'm not surprised. Like I picked the Lions hoping that maybe they would come in with a motor. They're riding high off the Philly game. Maybe Stafford would improve. We would look a little bit more balanced. We would come in with a motor. Just hoped. I figured they might. But no, of course they didn't. It's the Lions. No, they didn't. They came in looking like the same old Lions they've looked like since week one. And they got their butts handed to them. And, as far as the Detroit Lions go, I laugh because, last week I went off on the Lions, even though they came out with, I call a lucky victory against the Philadelphia Eagles. And people, especially Lion fans, got mad at me saying a win is a win. And I was like, that's not the point. I understand a win is a win. I'm not dogging them because they won. I'm not saying they didn't, they cheated to get the win. All I'm saying is you guys crack me up talking about Lions fans that when they do this, you're fine with it when they win. They can play horrible for 3 quarters or 3 quarters and 5 minutes, whatever. And then fourth quarter come, they play and they win. You guys are, woohoo, yeah, great job. But then when we lose, it's now you agree with what I said. And that's what cracks me up. That was all I saw last night. Man, they can't continue to do this. I thought it was okay last week. Last week, it was cool because a win is a win. And like I said, I'm never going to take a win away from you unless you cheat, but that's not the point. You got to look at the bigger picture. You got to be unbiased. And that's what I try to bring to the table every single time I'm debating the issue, whether I like the team or the player or the coach or whatever. I try to bring an unbiased opinion. And it proves my point. This is what the Lions do. I've said that about this offense since week 1. They have no consistency. Half of it is Matthew Stafford. Half of it is the non-balance of this team. Going to Matthew Stafford, I can't really say what's wrong with him. Everybody wants to keep, asking me, what's wrong with Matthew Stafford? What's wrong with Matthew Stafford? At this time, I really can't tell you. Part of it is, I still firmly believe this. I'm not saying this is the full reason why, but a part of me still believes defenses are just ready and they are learning how to defend Stafford in a different way that he's, in my opinion, never been defended before. In college and even in those first couple years, he was inconsistent, in the NFL because he was hurt. He's used to throwing long bombs. These teams are forcing Stafford to develop long drives with short passes. Something he's not used to. He's used to bombing it. I'm not saying he can't do it with short passes, but he's not used to it. And it doesn't help him when receivers aren't getting open or receivers aren't making a play. But then sometimes it's the play call. Because I don't understand why we're running slant routes on 3rd and 6. And you're running the slants behind, forward of the first down line. Get past the first down line and then make a play. Because at the end of the day, we got skilled players, but they don't put the effort in to go get those extra yards for a first down. The play calling, the execution, it's all horrible. But as far as Stafford goes, I really can't say what is officially wrong with him. I don't see consistency. I don't see concentration. I don't even half the time even see effort out of Stafford. Half the time it just seems like his mind goes blank. It really seems like his mind goes blank. He'll just throw it into coverage or he'll air it up to Calvin and he doesn't even see the safety. And it's like, well, okay, I understand Calvin has one-on-one coverage, but that safety is looming. Why are we? It goes back to the same old with Stafford, that I've said time and time again. Lack of concentration, lack of effort, lack of execution. But at the end of the day, like I said, I am going to give some credit to these defenses. They just have learned how to, like I said, they had a full year to evaluate, or a full season from last year to evaluate Stafford, how he plays, what he likes to do, and now they're forcing him to do something different. But at the end of the day, when you're not balanced, it's not going to help you anyway. So when you're doing these short passes to execute long drives, your running game has to step up. And quite frankly, I didn't get why we didn't run the ball more. I know LeSure and Bell, they didn't have great games like they have in the past, and they didn't look, great or anything. But at the end of them safeties was like 20 yards back from the line of scrimmage. Go ahead and take a couple chances and run the ball, because clearly the passing game wasn't working. I didn't really get the problem. Go ahead. You have to learn how to when to run the ball and when to pass the ball. You have to have specific plays made up for LeSure, for Bell. I mean, I don't know why I have to tell these NFL coaches, isn't this what y'all get paid for? I mean, come on. At this point, you need to know what LaSure does best. You need to know what Bell does best. You need to get plays that are drawn up for them. Offensive line needs to execute fully. That's another thing. Offensive line was horrible yesterday. Stafford hardly had time to set his feet. And when he did set his feet, he either threw a bad pass or he threw a good pass and a receiver couldn't make the catch. That's another part of the problem. Pettigrew. You're making catches, but you're fumbling them. You're not even fighting for extra yards. Calvin Johnson is dropping passes. Nate Burleson, when he was in the game, dropping passes. Tony Scheffler is dropping passes. This cannot continue to happen. Like I said, the story of football, whether it's college or NFL, has been the same story. If it's not the quarterback throwing a bad pass, it's the receivers not ready to catch the ball or dropping the pass. That cannot continue to happen and think that this offense is going to be successful. That's something I have stressed from day one. You have to become balanced as a team. And Stafford has to execute. The team doesn't move without your quarterback, generally. And until Stafford gets something going or figures out what the problem is or figures out how to adjust to these defenses that are basically doing zone coverages and putting the safeties 20 yards back because they don't trust y'all to run it. Until y'all show that that running game is a threat, nobody is going to care. They're going to just put the safeties back and they're going to protect the pass. And while I feel like you guys have skilled receivers, y'all don't have great receivers, but it still goes back to the receivers too, because receivers, y'all got to make catches. Y'all got to make plays. Y'all got to learn how to get open. Why in the NFL don't you know how to get open? How did you make it into the NFL? Half the time when Stafford is hanging onto the ball, I would look at the replays and go back and rewind it. Nobody's open. So he's standing back there trying to wait. He's not going to just throw it in the coverage. I mean, I don't want him to do that. Titus Young had 6 receptions for 81 yards. Broyles had his little moment, towards the end once Nate Burleson got hurt, and I'll address Nate Burleson in a minute. But even Calvin Johnson, Megatron, you dropped a pass the first drive for the Lions. 3rd and something. Wide open pass in the middle field. You dropped it. Burleson dropped a pass. Pettigrew dropped the pass. I mean, it's just the same old, not making plays offensively as a team, and that cannot happen. It starts with the execution of Stafford, true. But at the end of the day, when he is going, receivers got to step up. And then once again, you saw closely in the fourth quarter, they can get down the field. They just don't seem to do that for some reason for the entire game. So it goes back, like I said, it's a mixture of everything. It's the mixture of first, quarterback Matthew Stafford not executed, no concentration, no effort. Play calling. Because half the time I felt like 2nd and 1, we decided to throw basically a Hail Mary pass to Calvin Johnson, which Matthew Stafford didn't realize the safety was over there. It's an incomplete pass. But then on 3rd and 1, we do the same play. And I didn't really understand that. Run the ball on 2nd and 1. Let's see if LaSure, Bell, or whoever you put in there at running back can get the job done. If they can't, then fine. Then you can pass it on 3rd and 1. But at the end of the day, try to go run it. And then when you should pass it, you run it. It's about finding that balance. Like I said, it goes back to the quarterback, Matthew Stafford. Not executing, not showing any concentration or effort, just seems to be completely having an off season, and quite frankly, doesn't even that's another thing. Let me just bring that up real quick. Pre-snap. Half the time when Stafford was getting blitzed, he didn't read it. If I can read it at home, and of course, like I said, I'm not pretending that I'm a quarterback in the NFL. I know it's a totally different setting once you're there. But at the end of the day, that as a quarterback, Stafford has to read those, especially playing teams like the Bears who are going to blitz you. Half the time I was looking at it, I'm like, Stafford, audible, change that, change the lineup or change the play. Oh, okay, blitz, blitzkrieg or blitz to the right. You have to read that as a quarterback. It's up to you as a quarterback to realize that, and that's something that's going to make Stafford better too. Pre-snap adjustments. That was another problem I had with Stafford. Pre-snap adjustments. Half the time when he got when he threw these passes, or his passes got deflected by a linebacker or a defensive lineman, it was because he didn't make the adjustment or didn't notice something, or he's rushing. And like I said, if you don't know what it is, or I'd rather you take a timeout than you waste the down in a crucial part of the game. Like I said, you couldn't score the entire game. You scored at the very end with 30 seconds left, which is nothing. That game was over. I don't care. That game was over. So at the end of the day, like I said, it goes down to execution. A non-execution, non-effort, non-concentration of Matthew Stafford. But at the end of the day, it still goes back to the play calling of Scott Linehan and the non-balance of this Lions team players as far as the rushers and turning the ball over. You can't turn the ball over 4 times and not execute at all offensively and think that you're going to win a game. It just doesn't happen. Turnovers, non-discipline. And I'm not even saying flags, just undisciplined, period. Not catching balls, not running the route right, not realizing where the safety is, not not realizing that you're about to get blitzed and making a pre-snap adjustment. All those different things, and along with execution, compact together. And if you don't do that at least 60% or 70%, you're not going to win and you're going to struggle. Period. Moving on to the Detroit Lions defense, big ups to them. I felt like they played well. I would say 70% of what they did was great. So I'm not gonna give them the full 80 or 90 just because I felt a couple of times it was just Chicago. Just 30%, I felt like Chicago just did not execute as a team, whether it was a receiver dropping a pass, whether it was Matt Forte not fighting for those couple extra yards. But they held Matt Forte to 96 yards. Brandon Marshall, like I said, the secondary, I'm not going to say the secondary played great. The linebackers and the D-line, to me, played pretty well. They got pressure on Cutler. They even I think they sacked him 4 or 5 times. They got good pressure on Cutler, which I said was one of the keys to the game if they were going to compete. And like I said, they did their job. The linebackers did a good job of tackling well in the open field. Like I said, that secondary is still, But, at the end of the day, the linebackers and the defensive line, I felt like did a real good job. And I can say, I can truthfully respect what they did in this one because this is a different team than Philly, to me offensively. That's not the same offensive line. Bears' offensive line is horrible, but it's not as bad to me as Philly's offensive line. So, big ups to them. Like I said, they play well. That secondary still needs a lot of work. And Stephon Logan, the punt returner, kick returner, I'll really be surprised if he is here. If he's here after next season. Personally, he shouldn't be here this season, but he cost us a huge fumble that was a momentum changer as well. So at the end of the day, some things have to be changed with the Lions. And as far as just speaking on the Bears, they did what I said. I said Jay Cutler needs to get the ball to Brandon Marshall early and consistently. They did that. He had 6 receptions for 81 yards. They used them well. They did a good job of getting Matt Forte going. Like I said, he didn't get 100 yards, but he still had an impressive game. Lions still struggled to stop him, but they held him back from his usual outburst. But still, nonetheless, but they look good defensively. I was very impressed with Charles Tillman, Lance Briggs, especially Lance Briggs, Charles Tillman. Their ability to take these little boxing jabs and make the ball come out was spectacular. Great. It was great to just see that. Like I said, they played very well. The defense is one of the main reasons also that Lions offense could not score. They challenged them just as everybody else does. So, big ups to the Bears. Definitely looking like a team to watch, for sure. 5-1, 3-0 at home. So definitely gonna be watching the Bears very closely. Gonna be watching the Lions very closely just because they can't seem to get it. Till I see improvement, I'm not changing my mind. I have no respect for this Lions offense. Defense is earning some of my respect back. At least the D-line and the linebackers are. That secondary, just say a prayer. Anyway, moving on. Chicago Bears quarterback Jay Cutler took a hard hit last night from Ndamukong Suh of the Detroit Lions. Typical. But apparently, someone had a problem with it. It wasn't Jay Cutler. It wasn't head coach Lovie Smith of the Chicago Bears. No, it was wide receiver Brandon Marshall. Apparently, he didn't like the hit. He said, I quote, "Hey, Sue, what you did to Jay wasn't cool. Great players don't have to do that." I quote again, "Hey, Sue, something I've learned and now passing down to you. Succeed with character." Brandon Marshall, I am proud of how far you have come. I truly am. You're a good-looking man. You had some issues in the past that made me dislike you, but you've always been a good player. Like I said, a good-looking man like a woman myself can appreciate. But at the end of the day, you blew this way out of proportion. That was not a dirty hit. That was a hard hit by Ndamukong Suh. Your quarterback didn't even have a problem with it. I think it looked worse than what it was because of the fall. It was an awful fall more than anything to me because you can definitely tell Cutler kind of got caught on his knee and the ball, which is an awkward place to fall. And then on top of that, you got Suh's weight all on you hitting the ground. But that's a clean hit. That's a clean defensive hard hit. And quite frankly, that's the type of hard hitting I want to see out of Suh and any other defenders. It's painful. I'm pretty sure it is. But Cutler know what he's doing. And like I said, for Cutler not to have a problem with, for Lovie Smith not to have a problem, it's not a hard hit. He didn't pull his horse collar, he didn't hit him in the head. It's a hard hit. I'm already pissed that's the type of stuff that I like to say. I'm already pissed Roger Goodell done turned this league into a soft league, can't even hit anybody across the middle barely anymore. In a minute, we're going to be playing flag football. That was not that was not a dirty hit. Like I said, Brandon Marshall, I understand you're trying to do, you're trying to protect your quarterback, you're trying to be a leader. That's great. But that was just simply a football play. That's a hard football play. If you can't handle that, you don't need to be on the football field, period. And Ndamukong Suh basically comment was, Simply a football play. He said, I can't control my momentum, especially at that high speed. I'm chasing him. He's running away from me. My whole goal is just to get the quarterback down and make a play and get us off the field and move on to the next play. Rightfully said, that's right. It's true. He didn't hurt him. He even went to go make sure Cutler was okay. It's not disrespectful. It's a straight up, just hard hit that I like to see from anybody in the NFL. It's not dirty. He didn't blatantly try to hurt him. Brandon Marshall, just focus on you, okay? It's not that deep. You're blowing it out of proportion, bro. Come on. You're blowing it out of proportion. Stop it, Brandon. Moving on to somebody else who is hurt. Charles Woodson for the Green Bay Packers has broken his collarbone and is expected to probably be out for about 4 weeks, if not 6 weeks. This is a huge blow to the Green Bay Packers, not just defensively as far as just, skill set and whatnot. And obviously they've already lost some key guys, to injuries. They played without B.J. Raji, the defensive tackle. They played without outside linebacker Nick Perry. They played without cornerback Sam Shields and linebacker DJ Smith. So obviously this is a Green Bay Packers team that is pretty beat up. But at the end of the day, one thing you're going to miss out with Charles is the leader. He's not Ray Rice, but he is his own emotional leader on that team. He's been a very productive guy on the field, and that's what you wanted him to be. And that's what's developed him into a leader. So that's really what they're missing out on. Yes, they're going to miss him definitely on the field, but I think they're going to miss him more just as a leader on and off the field. And hopefully he can get a chance to get back before the season ends. Before the season ends. And hopefully, he can be there on the sideline helping his teammates out, being a leader on the sideline if he can. It just depends on the extent of his injury. But definitely a big blow to the Green Bay Packers. Definitely looking to see how they're going to respond to that. And if you don't know, go check out NBA.com. The GM survey came out. This is something that they've been doing for years now, where they do this GM survey. All 30 GMs respond to about 57 different questions about the best teams, players, coaches, fans, and off-season moves. And general managers are not permitted to vote for their own team or personnel, percentage based on the pool of respondents to each question of the survey. So this is something that, can get people riled up because it is a GM's perspective, and we all know how many, you guys love GMs. Of course, I'm being sarcastic, but at the end of the day, just certain things caught some people off guard. A couple things caught me off guard. They said the Golden State Warriors are extremely fun to watch. And according to this year's basically rendition of the General Manager survey, the Warriors are a three-way tie for the most fun team to watch. Now, I don't have a problem with that per se, but at the end of the day, I'm not saying Golden State's boring. But we all know, if you watching the Golden State, you probably monitor Stephen Curry's ankle more than the game itself. If I had to say some teams who are going to be exciting to watch this year, it's going to be teams like the Lakers. Obviously, Oklahoma City Thunder is always a team to watch. Even the Clippers, the Miami Heat. Those are exciting teams that are, New York Knicks. Those are teams that I feel are exciting to watch. I get, like I said, I like Golden State. They're fast-paced. But like I said, if I'm watching Golden State, if Stephen Curry's on the field, I'm generally watching his ankle more than anything. No offense to the Golden State Warriors. There was another outlandish thing said, actually Carmelo Anthony was picked third by the GMs to win MVP this year. LeBron James was first, Kevin Durant was second, Carmelo Anthony is third. Now, I'm not saying Carmelo Anthony cannot have an MVP season. I just don't think he is. He already complaining about playing the 4 while Amari's gone. So I don't see how he's gonna do it. But whatever. That's just me. Another person that was kind of brought up when they talked about underrated player acquisitions. In the top 3, Darko Milicic was brought up. Why he was brought up, I don't know. I don't understand how at all he is considered an underrated player acquisition. I don't see. He had his little moment in Minnesota, which is probably the person who voted for him. But at the end of the day, I don't see how he's going to be an underrated acquisition for the Boston Celtics. Now, of course, I've been wrong before, but I personally don't see it. We're talking about perimeter defenders. A couple people fell in the top 3 that Kobe Bryant is a top 3, perimeter defensive player. Now, I love Kobe. Most people who know me, they know that. I love Kobe. That's my boy. Definitely appreciate the boy. But one of the top perimeter defenders, No, I don't think he is. I think he can defend when he wants to defend, just like half the NBA. But when I'm thinking, and in the GM's defense, they did say Tony Allen was number one, but other players that I would put ahead of Kobe, I mean, I'm talking, Avery Bradley, Rajon Rondo, Cephalosha, Metal World Peace. I mean, it's Dante Jones. I mean, there's plenty of other guys who are better defenders than Kobe. I said Kobe definitely can defend when he wants to defend, no question, just like anybody else in the NBA. But I wouldn't put him in the top defenders. Like I said, he wasn't in top 3, but he was mentioned an awful lot apparently, and that caused some things to be brought up. But other than that, just like I said, go check out the list. But it was a couple other things that just were funny. Like I said, somebody said a player you want taking a shot when the game is on the line. Apparently, a couple GMs felt that player was Chauncey Billups, even though in the between 2006 and 2011, Chauncey has only made 3 of his 27 so-called game shots on the lines. So, yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if that was Joe Dumars who voted that, just saying. But anyway, go check out the list. Once again, it's on NBA.com. Go check out the 2012-2013 GM survey. Go see what you think. Go look at the predictions. And, just go on Google, look up the responses. It was plenty good responses to go check out. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this segment of Sports Talk with L-Beasley. Like I said, if you have a topic that you want me to discuss that I didn't get a chance to discuss or I didn't bring up, be sure to let me know. I'm always happy to discuss a topic for my fans. Like I said, whether it's a team, a coach, a player, whatever. Like I said, college basketball season is right around the corner. NBA season is right around the corner. So like I said, if you have something you want me to discuss, be sure to let me know. If you want to be a guest on my show, be sure to let me know. Sports Talk with L-Beasley has gone on Skype. All my contact information is on the credits at the end. But you can also hit me up on Twitter, Facebook, and all that stuff too if you already follow me. If you're not following me, all that jazz, friend me on Facebook. Also, if you want me to be a guest on your show, people have been inviting me to be guests on their show, radio shows, video shows. If you want me to be a guest on your show, once again, let me know. Always happy to come on your show and give my opinions and branch out to a new network. So please be sure to do that too. Once again, all my contact information is on the credits at the end. Go check out MoneyballSportswear.com. I cannot stress that enough. They are a huge, huge supporter of Sports Talk with L-Beasley. And not only that, they are a huge supporter of me, Lauren Beasley. So go check them out. You're going to love their clothes. Affordable prices, cool clothes. Like I said, if you like Nike, you like Under Armour, you're going to love Moneyball. Go check out MoneyballSportswear.com. The only way to ball is Moneyball. Team Moneyball over here. Once again, thank you for tuning in. Thanks for all the support, the comments, the love. Really appreciate it. Oh, and before I go, big shout out to the Indiana Fever. I forgot, I was so busy talking and ranting about the Detroit Lions. I forgot to bring this up yesterday. Big shout out to the Indiana Fever. They are, 2012 WNBA champions. Big ups to them. Tamika Catchings, January, all that entire team. Especially Tamika Catchings. That's somebody I watch, admire, and even model my game after, especially from a defensive standpoint. So big ups to Tamika Catchings finally getting that ring, and to the rest of the Indiana Fever. Very proud and happy for them. Big shout out to my Detroit Tigers in the World Series. Let's go get that ring, boys. Go get that championship. And also shout out to the Giants. They made it in last night. They made it in last night. So good job by the Giants. Looking forward to this battle. It's going to be a good game. It's going to be a good series. So definitely looking forward to seeing how my Tigers are going to play. But at the end of the day, I'm going with my Tigers. They play, I think they play tomorrow. They play tomorrow. They play Wednesday. So, shout out to my Detroit Tigers. Cannot wait to see you guys win this World Series. Go do what you got to do. Once again, thank you for tuning in. Thanks for all my fan support and comments. Keep them coming. I really appreciate it. And I will see you guys tomorrow.